rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
It would help if I took that off. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hairyman Hijinks in the morning. Good to see everybody made it up this morning. I'm sure there's a lot of sleepyheads out there. Wake up. It's another great day, and happy Valentine's Day. I hope you all have somebody to share that with. If not, pamper yourself. You can do it on your own. Go buy you a coffee. Yeah, that'll work. Go buy you a coffee. So let us see if we can find Enzo. I don't know where he is this morning, but he said he was going to be coming in a new way. So I don't know where he is actually. Wait a minute. Did he just come by horse? That's a new one. That's a new one for sure.
A horse? What?
A horse with the horn.
That's a unicorn.
That button's really sensitive. I can't even go near it. I can't even go near it. Oh my god. That's hilarious. Good morning, Enzo.
Good morning, Nikki.
And happy Valentine's Day to you. You look lovely in your red.
Day.
Yes.
That's it. Got to fly the colors today.
Yeah, for sure. I'm doing the whole pink.
Very nice.
I've got my Bigfoot charm on here. My good luck.
Nice.
Sweet Sassy Glassy. I don't think she's in business anymore, but I did score this beautiful piece from her.
Very nice.
Let's see who we've got in the chat. I know they were talking. Good morning, Kevin Harder. Do I know you? I feel like I should know you. Well, welcome to the show. Sandra Piper. There's Cassie, Forensic Mystics. Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day. Daily Dan from South Carolina. Good morning. Oh, there's my sister. Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day, sis. And she came in twice. Authentic Happiness Show. That would be my sister as well. Or is, I don't know. Is that Jara? Hello. Good morning. We've got some great topics today, but you know what? I wanted to start out by doing a little thing about the Super Bowl, which was this Sunday.
Ooh, the big game.
It was a good game. It was very evenly played. I mean, it was like back and forth. I guess a lot of people thought the Eagles were going to take this one away, but
yeah, it's one of those things that because I have to admit I did not watch 1 second of it. the only reason I knew that the Chiefs won because living in Kansas, that's kind of a local team. I'm sitting there watching TV and I start hearing fireworks going off in my neighborhood. It's like, oh, I guess maybe the Chiefs won. Let me flip over.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at there.
Oh, somebody must have won. Yeah, for sure. Do they do ticker tapes anymore? They probably don't, huh?
I don't think so.
No more ticker tape parades.
It's probably not environmentally friendly to do ticker
Somebody
tapes
would
anymore.
complain about it for sure.
Yes.
I know. So yeah, it was a great game. And of course, I didn't really have any stake in either of those teams. They weren't my teams, but I did put a little side bet, to the side there, and nope, didn't even come close. Well, near the end, I came one touchdown away from winning $1,000.
Oh,
so I was like, Eagles have to win one more, and I needed a touchdown, no extra point. I needed 6 points to take the 1,000 for the fourth quarter. And so I was like, oh no, when you come close, but not close. It's a weird thing, but.
So was this kind of an upset with Kansas City winning? Because a lot of it going into it, everybody was like, Eagles. They're going to take it.
Had the Eagles taking it, not by a lot, by 3 to 7 were most of the stakes I've noticed were, in that range. But everybody had the Eagles. All the commentators had the Eagles coming in as the winner. Terry Bradshaw saw that matter of fact, that everybody was picking the Eagles for a win, that he says, I kind of want to change now to, just because everybody else has that. And he didn't, though. He kept his mark on the Eagles. But he should have, because they did. They rallied and they came back, and it was a great show, I thought. The football part. Not quite the halftime show that everybody was expecting.
No?
I do hear that, well, I think people are giving Rihanna kind of a hard time with that show she did. She's not everybody's cup of tea. What are you going to do? Everybody has their own genre of music they listen to, and she's a little bit provocative. Her music
Yeah.
got a little bit of a different tone there. So you either love her, hate her, or, well, I guess suppose there's people who could care less either way. But she did. She went out there and they did a show, right? A bunch of Stay Puft Marshmallow Men and her in the middle. It was it was very, very interesting show. I'll
Stay
show
Puft Marshmallow Man.
They were wearing these huge puffy white outfits, these all her dancers, and there was 100 of them. Okay, the whole field was covered with these guys doing their dances, and I'm like, why did they pick white? But then later on, they revealed black lights, so they kind of glowed, while they were dancing. It was
Oh,
kind of a cool effect. And but everybody's throwing shade on Rihanna because she wasn't her normal, self dancing and stuff. But it's because she's pregnant.
yep.
Pregnant.
That's
She
what I
just had a
heard.
baby in May of last year, and she's pregnant again. So, I mean, give it to her, man. The girl's working and she's pregnant. She's out there doing her thing. I thought she looked beautiful and she did what she could do. She didn't, opt out. A lot of people were saying she should have just opted out if she was pregnant. Why? That's not right. Why should she opt out? She was beautiful. She did an okay job with her music. Um, but it's just not everybody's cup of tea. So
Well, I mean, if you're pregnant, you don't want to go too bananas out there. And what you would do in place of that, it looks like, is what she did. You get other performers out there where the eye is
right.
looking at them, kind of a
And
thing. You know, she said,
got lowered on a platform. Some of her dancers were up on platforms, hanging, dangling in the sky. So it was it was interesting. Uh, but it just, there's a lot of some people didn't like it when oh my God, what's his name? The rockabilly guy. I knew I should have wrote his name down. I forget his name every time. Um, what's his name? Oh shoot. Anyway, another controversial guy. Some people, but everybody agreed. Everybody loved Prince on most
hmm.
of the polls that I saw. That everybody loved the Prince performance. So it just depends on who you like, who you don't. I mean, some people loved the anthem. Stapleton did the anthem. Some people loved it. Some people cried. Some people didn't care for it. Everybody's got their own opinion about it, but it was okay. I thought it was all fine and dandy. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't place this as my favorite, halftime show by far. Um, it was okay. It was okay for me. I almost got into a fight on Facebook over it, actually.
Someone squabbling on Facebook?
God,
That never
I was
happens.
like going after her music like it was the devil's music, calling
Oh,
her
geez.
stripper music and all this. And all I wanted to say was, so you go to many stripper clubs then, so you can identify this
It's
music,
right.
you know?
I,
How many stripper clubs have you been to
this
be
is
able to?
straight out of my favorites.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it is what it is, it was okay. But that other part of the whole Super Bowl thing that gets so blown up is the commercials.
Yeah, I was
And
going to
I
ask if you had a favorite.
also think that they weren't up to par. There were a few that were kind of funny, but I think what happened is the channel I was watching got the local guys pulled and put their own commercials in because I had a bunch of local commercials in
Mm.
the show. So I think I missed some of the good stuff because of that. It was Oscar whatever from the Ford dealer down the road kept popping in his
Right.
commercial into the mix. But yeah, there was. Let's see. I even wrote. I wrote a lot of them down. Um, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola had many placements of their ad in there. And this was the Apple Music halftime show, by the way. But the Farmer Wants a Wife show that's coming on air pretty soon.
That's a TV
It's kind
show?
of like The Bachelor. It's kind of like The Bachelor, except it's a farmer.
Oh,
Farmer.
no.
Yeah.
What's the gag? They're bringing city girls out to the farm.
Yes, and they have to do farm work and play with the mess with the pigs and the horses and feed and all that stuff. And I didn't know it'd be this hard.
It might be good for a laugh, actually.
Yeah, it does. These guys are pretty good looking too. Farmers. I give it to the farmers out there.
Oh, that's hard work.
Another show called Animal Control coming up. Gutfield had kind of a funny one. He's the Fox commentator, but they cut it short. It's like a 15-second little thing, and he's just getting into it, and they cut him off, and he goes, "Hey, this thing costs a lot of money. That's all you get." That's the end of it. That was funny. It was funny.
That's Greg Gutfeld.
They had a commercial for Creed 3, part of the kind of a Rocky series. Going forever and ever and ever. Good Lord, that thing will never end.
1 and 2 made enough money to make a 3. Okay.
Yeah. So there was that one. And what else was I going to say? Oh, Tubi had a really funny one. Tubi had this giant scary rabbit. Okay. Giant scary rabbit. Ginormous. We're talking like a 10-foot rabbit going and kidnapping people. Just grabbing them over his shoulder and carrying people to his hole. And he was throwing them down into his hole, which ended up, it was supposed to be the wormhole. Okay. You're getting into this wormhole, and it's the whole Tubi thing. And when they're in the hole, they're seeing the light of Tubi. Oh, it was, I thought that was hilarious. Kind of a weird take. You had no idea where it was going. This giant rabbit.
I didn't hear about that one. That's funny. Tubi's actually a pretty good show. They have a lot of good product on there. There's a lot of good stuff on there.
They show a lot of stuff on there. Pop Corners, which is this food potato chip thing, had a funny one. They did a whole take on Breaking Bad, on the Breaking Bad commercial. That was a little bit funny. And T-Mobile had John Travolta, and that was kind of funny. That was a little funny. And of course, Snoop Dogg had to get in there with his Skechers, one of his Skechers thing. So they were okay, I did not see Anheuser-Busch for the first time. Usually you see the Clydesdale somewhere in there. And if somebody else saw it, maybe I got up to go to the restroom or something. I don't know. But,
historically, they've always had like the big thing,
the big one.
The sad Clydesdales coming out, or the frogs, or the what's up guys, or historically they've always been great.
I didn't see it. If it was out there, please let me know, so I can go and search that, because I didn't see it. I didn't see it. It was there.
Well, the only thing I heard about wasn't even, I guess it was a commercial, but maybe I just run in different circles than you do. But I heard a lot about the ad for the Flash movie. I don't know if you saw that one.
There was, but I didn't write it down. Why? I don't remember it though.
There was a lot of big buzz on that one. Honestly, for as long as that movie has been ready to go and out there, and because they kept delaying it because, of course, Ezra Miller, who's the star who plays the Flash in it, has had a few personal issues in the news over the last couple of years. And so they just kept delaying it, and they kept reshooting it, and then they would change designs when they'd go in and do reshoots, and they change the whole thing around, how the whole story, that thing's gone. They practically filmed that movie about 3 different times, the way they rearranged everything. But the big thing with that is, because for anyone that's not familiar, I won't get super comic booky nerdy here for too long, but the Flash can run so fast he can basically go through time, is basically what it is. And the whole story behind this one is a famous comic called Flashpoint, where Flash goes back in time and prevents his mother from getting killed, because that's part of the backstory of the Flash.
Right.
And that changes everything in the timeline, where it really gets screwed up and he has to try and fix it. And so you get characters that show up as different characters, even though they're the same person and stuff like that. And the weird one in this one is Michael Keaton, who played, Mr. Bob, So he played in the original Batman movies back in the 80s, if you recall, is returning as an older Batman in this. So they're actually going to have multiple versions of Batman throughout the years, because I know Ben Affleck's going to be in there, and as modern day version of Batman and things like that. So a lot of people were excited to see Michael Keaton in the bat suit again and stuff like that. Because
I missed it. I did miss it.
I hang out with nerds, so. But from the commercial, it looks like it may be better than what it originally was portrayed as. They did a ton of work on it. This movie, it was ready to put out like almost 6 years ago.
What?
But
oh my goodness!
It's been ready to go for a long time. But Ezra Miller ran into a bunch of issues, and then there were other issues that came up. And they thought, okay, we're just going to sit on this for a while. We're going to let it sit, let all the fervor calm down before we put this out. And I guess they decided now is the time. So we'll see how it works out for them.
I like to watch all those anyway, so I'll for sure check it out. But let's get right into all-time favorites. I prepared you. I gave you homework, so you you probably
much like I did in my younger life. I did not study. I didn't study at all.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
See, Sandra Piper's got it right. Michael Keaton, the best Batman. There you go.
The best Batman. The best Batman. Yeah. I like that one. I like that version. Ben Affleck didn't do much for me, and was Val Kilmer one?
Val Kilmer was one. Who was the guy from the Doctor show? He's been in a bunch of rom-coms. What's the other guy's name? I forget. But yeah, there's been a few over the years. But Michael Keaton was the big cinematic original guy for bringing it back.
Right. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Okay, so we've got Christian Bale was like I didn't particularly like him, but I like his voice.
What do you mean you didn't like him? He had that gruff voice.
His voice was all crazy. Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy voiced the Batman the Animated Series Batman.
Oh.
And a ton of video games and everything else. He was the voice.
Yeah. Robert Pattinson. Now, I haven't seen that one.
I haven't watched that either. I hear it's okay.
Now, that's the latest one, right? Before this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Came out a couple years ago.
One. Of course, there's Adam West, one of the originals there.
OG.
Val Kilmer.
David Batusi.
Mazus, the young boy, in Gotham.
Oh, the TV show, yeah.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves did it in DC League of what is it? I can't remember now.
It was a animated thing. He voiced that.
Oh, George Clooney. That's who I forgot. George Clooney.
That's who I couldn't remember. Yeah, actually, that was the one that kind of killed the franchise, Batman and Robin. And that
Yeah.
was, if you recall, the big fervor was it had the nipples on the bat suit. That was the one.
Oh man, Zachary Gordon, Lewis Wilson. I don't know who that is. There's a whole long line here, and I'm assuming a lot of these are animated type series.
Yeah,
'Cause
there's a ton of
I
those.
don't recognize any of the rest of the names. Oh, I like that guy, Bruce Greenwood. Will Arnett, he's a comedian actor. Jimmy Kimmel on Teen Titans.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't recognize any of the other names. So they just had small little parts in little series, animated series type stuff. But those are the main players, like, for the most part. But Batman never dies. So
That's right. Prince did the song for that one, and he said he hated it too. That's right. Brian and Chewie go hiking.
Oh man. So we're going to talk about this all-time favorites, your all-time favorites, my all-time favorites, and I want you guys to let me know what your all-time favorites are.
That's right. It's an interactive chat.
Start out with the first one here, and that is song. Everybody has to have a favorite song. A song that when it comes on, it gives you that nice and warm feeling inside. Come on, Enzo. I know you're not a music guy.
I'm not a big music guy, but there's a few songs, especially like if you're driving. Radar Love comes on, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting that speeding ticket.
You hit the volume, and you don't care who's watching you. You're singing. You're singing at the top of your lungs, because I know I do that. And Batman sucked to me. What? My sister. Anyway. So yeah. So who is your all-time favorite songs? Now, I probably should have done it the other way around. I should have said band first, because my band sings my favorite song. It kind of, they all go together. So let's start with band instead. Band. What's your favorite band? Do you have a favorite band, Enzo?
I wouldn't say a favorite where it's like, I have to know every single lyric of every song. I'm not that into music where it goes crazy. I went through a ZZ Top phase, 80s and 90s, where I had to have ZZ Top. Into the 2000s, late 90s and 2000s, got more into like grunge type music. So Creed and there's a whole litany of those guys where it's just turn that channel on XM radio. And it's like, all right, I like all of these songs. I'm just cool with everything.
Right.
But
I've seen them a couple times. They opened for Guns N' Roses one time.
Guns N' Roses, yeah.
We went to see them on their own, which was great. Very minimalists, ZZ Top. It's just them, those three, and that's it. Them, their guitars and the drums, and they had two not really huge speakers behind them that was playing their videos of the songs as they're playing them. So it was awesome. And
so you actually go to a lot of concerts, though, right?
Yeah,
go see them live.
Yes. A lot, but that's me and my husband's thing. That's our love language, is what I call it. Something that we do together, because we grew up as loving the love of music and 80s rock music, hair band, older 70s music. We loved it, but we never went to concerts ever as teens. He actually lived in Puerto Rico, so he wasn't able to see these groups then. And I just never went. I had an opportunity. I could have gone to Phoenix to see many of these bands, but it wasn't until we got married that we thought, this is what we're going to do, is we're going to see every band possible. And so that's our thing. That's what we do.
Very cool. Yeah,
Matter
I've been
of
to
fact,
2 concerts my entire life, and both cases were, hey, we got an extra ticket. You want to go? Okay. So I've seen
even
38
for
Special.
Oh, nice.
38 Special back in like 1984, and probably 5 or 6 years later, free tickets to go see Fleetwood Mac up in Montreal. Got to go see him there.
Nice.
That was
Ooh,
a lot of fun.
That would have been nice. Definitely. But even for our wedding gifts, I gifted him tickets to go see Dokken at the Sun Theater
cool.
in LA. And he gifted me tickets to see Pat Benatar at the Sun Theater. So it was fun. That was great. But that's what we do for each other. It's our thing. So for me, my favorite is Tesla. My favorite band of all time is Tesla.
I definitely give that a thumbs up. I've also been a big Tesla fan over the years. Very underrated band too.
Any song, come on, by Tesla, I'm going ape shit crazy in the car, turning it up and singing along. My kids think I'm crazy, so that was them. I was fortunate enough that my husband did get me tickets. We were 4th row to see them, and oh my God, I think I was singing louder than he was, and he's pretty loud. So it was a great show. And of course, so that does lead into, but did you tell me what your favorite band was? It was.
I don't know if I was sitting here thinking about saying Tesla. I'm not saying that just because you popped it up, because
Yeah.
I have a lot of their work too. That's one of those, I guess, that I kind of found on my own, just from listening to different songs on the radio or something on MTV or something like that, where it wasn't, because they were never like a giant mainstream. I mean, they were kind of mainstream for a little while, but they weren't like your headliner kind of everybody knows Tesla kind of a thing. But still great music.
For sure. Well, of course, Changes was my all-time favorite song of theirs, and Modern Day Cowboy. Signs was very, very popular.
Yep. They didn't make it though.
I listened to that too. Yes, Brian, it was big. But Changes and Modern Day Cowboy were my all-time favorite of them. I love all their songs. It's just it's hard. It was hard to choose when I was thinking about it. Oh, I like this one, this one, this one. That's why there's 2 up there, because I couldn't choose between which one. But which leads in my favorite album, which was, of course, Mechanical Renaissance was my favorite album of Tesla's. And I could just listen to that on, just keep playing it. Just loop that
constant
sucker.
loop.
Yeah. So it was all good for me. But I do really appreciate the Eagles' Greatest Hits album. By far, that one also is just great music all the way around. So, and I was fortunate enough to see the Eagles as well. So it was great. I actually got to see them before Glenn Frey passed, and it was their tour where they were doing, what was it called? Storytelling. It was storytelling. Every song that they played, they sat and talked about how the song came about, where they first did it, who thought of the lyrics, who wrote about, So it was an awesome long concert, because they went through every song and explained how everything came about. So that was a neat concert to have. For sure.
Nice. I agree with all these choices. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Oh, so let's see. What would be the next one in the lineup is Where's my number 5? Concerts. You just told me about your 2 concerts.
2.
Your
That's all I've
2
got. It's
concerts.
just the 2.
And once again, I have to put my Tesla concert up at number 1. But as far as production, Kiss and Metallica far blew everybody out of the water for production value. I mean, Kiss they were floating on spaceships up and down on the stage, and Gene Simmons was shooting fire and shit out his guitar, and blood spurting everywhere. And that was great. That was the good stuff. So, I mean, he was all gnarly at the end of the concert, but man, those guys are. I actually saw them right before pandemic, right before the shutdown. It was in March of the shutdown.
Oh, wow.
And so that was the last concert we had seen. And so they were already there, they're old guys up there, and they still rocked it. They sounded awesome. Sometimes the sound system can kind of overpower, stuff, but it didn't. It was just hard rock and roll, and it was great. And Metallica, good Lord. This was very simple stage. They were actually in the middle in a stage that rotated super slow, okay, in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And that was them. The thing is they released 100 or more drones. So
What?
while you were watching them in the concert inside an arena, okay, it was not open air. It was inside an arena. There was a drone display going on. It was the craziest thing, and they had a lot of pyrotechnics. So every time the flames would shoot up, we were not far back, but we could feel the heat. I can't imagine them standing right next to this shit going off and not burning their asses off every night with that stuff going off, because we could feel the heat wave from the flames. So I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. But definitely an amazing concert. Foreigner, seen him 3 times.
Wow.
The last one, the new singer came and almost fell in my laps because he was climbing for us. I have that video. I need to repost that somewhere. You can hear me say, I'll catch you. All you see is my hand going, I'm gonna catch you if you fall. And this last year I got to see Scorpions for the 2nd time, and far better than their first concert I saw them. It was really weird. I don't know what was up with that, but yeah, they were excellent. It was another great concert. So it's awesome.
Reading your sister's comment about that Metallica concert.
Where is she? She's making a lot of comments. So, let's see this one. I felt like I was getting my eyebrows and eyelashes burned off at Metallica. Their pyro was insane. Yes. Yeah. So I'm telling you, you did.
Wow, you've been to a ton of concerts. That's amazing. So when you go to the concert, are you a front row, I gotta be as close as I can get to the band, or you're like, I'm going to sit back a little bit?
No, we pretty much front row. We'll what we can afford, But my husband, he's a smart dude. He is members of all of their clubs, okay? All of their fan clubs. He gets memberships. That way, when tickets first get released, they get released to fan club members first at a discounted price.
Oh, okay.
So something that may cost $450, he picks up for $250. But to do that, you have to purchase early. And when I mean early, our Metallica tickets were like a year in advance. Okay. So
Wow.
it's just, that's what you do. You purchase them really early to get really good prices on tickets. And sometimes what we do is we have one specific credit card that we'll buy tickets on, and then in a year we have it paid off. 6 months we have it paid off. So it's not like we're dropping boatload immediately, right now. Many of these tickets, it's taken us a while to pay off, but that's our fun. That's where we decided to spend our money. And many concerts I've been to were the free ones at the casinos. You can get the best concerts at casino venues by far. The only thing is you have to go very early so that you can get front row. And my husband and I will go about an hour and a half, 2 hours early to the casino, and we will stand there at the front, and you hold your ground. I mean, I saw Buck Cherry and Great White Snake, Great White, Lita Ford, Mark Slaughter.
Lita Ford, wow.
All of these were free concerts I went to, and we were front row. I have great photos to prove it. You can check out my Instagram. And because we were there freaking early, we were on our feet for almost 6 hours every time we go to a concert at the casino, because that's, what you do if you want to be in the front row. But many concerts we've done that way. I mean, we just saw Winger. We saw, I've seen, Cinderella. I've seen Tom Kiefer many times that way. Great. That's a great concert.
Man.
You can find a way.
I'll just live vicariously through you as far as concert going. You've got it all covered.
I just saw Kansas.
They're still out there playing?
They sounded awesome. They're still playing. They're old. They look like they're going to fall apart up there.
Well,
they don't look
half of their whole catalog, I think they replayed on that Supernatural TV show, and it kind of gave them a little bit of a resurgence, to be honest.
I think so, because man, it's just, you think you don't know what the song is, and then it comes on, you're like, oh, I do know that song.
Yeah. That's what I love about those older, those bands have been around for a long time. I should say older, but that you'll hear the title, and it's like, which song is that? But as soon as you hear those opening chords, you're like, oh, I know what this one is. This is a good one.
Yep, I did. I took her to go see the Nelson boys, the Nelsons. Remember those long blonde-haired boys? Yep. Oh yeah, no, she's singing it. I can live without you in love, and yeah. That was a good one. That was.
I even remember that one.
So great time. I have fond memories. I mean, my husband just took us last year also to the stadium tour, which didn't make my list here. It could have, because it was clearly the biggest concert I've ever been to, because it had 4 headliners. It had Joan Jett, Poison, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue. We were there all day long, doing concert after concert, about an hour and a half each. Yeah, we were there about 6 hours, 7 hours. And we had floor tickets for that one as well. He surprised me with floor tickets to that one. I totally thought we were going to be up in the rafters, and I didn't care. It was at the Staples Center in Las Vegas, and we got there, and my knee was totally effed up, okay? I mean, my knee, this was like in August. I messed up my knee in July, and I was walking around in a cane. So I'm like, I am going to make it to my seat. I don't care what happens. I'm going to make it to my seat. And the lines are all around the Staples Center, and they're coming around. Or was it Staples Center? Am I saying the wrong one? I think I'm saying the wrong one. The big stadium in Vegas. I can't remember the name now.
I don't know.
Uh, anyway, when we're getting up to now, everybody knows it's super easy to get to concerts. Okay. And I say that because I'm gonna lead into something. But when we get there and I'm hobbling with a cane, I have my cane and my legs all still wrapped up, kind of. This guy comes up and he says, this way, and he stops everybody. And so they had a whole way for people with handicaps, wheelchairs, anybody who needed extra assistance to get to their thing. They had a whole different way to go. So me and my husband got shuffled into that area because of my cane. And we went right through security. My husband's looking at me like, you weren't even going to bring your cane. And I'm like, no, I just brought it in case, because I knew we would be going up and down stairs, and I needed
Right.
that extra stability at that time. But he was like, I am so glad you brought your cane, because I think it saved us like an hour of having to wait in lines to get in with normal people.
Wow.
We went right in. And as soon as we went into the stadium, this other person was there and looked at our tickets, and she goes, oh, you need to get into another line because you're got special tickets. And I'm like, what? And I looked at my husband and he goes, well, I don't know. So we went into a smaller line to get bracelets because we were on the floor.
Oh.
Special bracelets. And then once we got the bracelets, the lady says, oh, and you don't have to walk down there. And she took us to an elevator right around the corner where another lady was inside this elevator, checked our bracelets out, and she took us straight down to the floor. We didn't even have to walk at all anywhere.
Wow.
It opens up and it was like, oh, yeah. We're at the bottom of the floor, stadium floor, and we just walked out, and it was like amazing. You just felt like special, and we kept walking up and up, and I'm like, how far up are we walking? Because he's up there with the person who's actually taking us to our seats, and I'm hobbling behind, and we're like smack dab in the middle. We were right in the middle of that concert floor. So it was amazing. It was such a great feeling.
That's amazing.
Actually, Brian, Vince sounded pretty good that night. And we were anticipating it not sounding good because we had already been hearing about the concerts all being fairly bad from Motley Crue. So we were kind of prepared for that, but it didn't sound too bad that night. Didn't sound too bad. And we have seen Motley Crue before. So we've, seen the bits, but we also watched a bunch on YouTube of some of his performances, and they were bad. He was continuously forgetting words in his songs.
How many times is he saying these songs? How do they not automatically know them?
Shit up in his songs and all kinds of stuff. So we were kind of prepared for that, but we didn't care. We when you're at a concert that big, you're on this high that it don't matter what happens. You're there and you're happy. And hey, I got to see what's his name's he just whipped it out for everybody that night. So. Yeah, because it was a whole thing where not Nikki Sticks. What's his name? Motley Crue drummer. Help me out, Brian. What's his name? Um, they did a whole TV show on him. Anyway, yeah, he
But
had
Tommy
just
Lee?
Tommy Lee, thank you.
Sorry.
He had been on Twitter
Google.
or whatever thing and showed his junk on Twitter, and it was a whole big old thing. Well, he came out and discussed that whole after the concert, okay, because they were the last. They were the last ones up, and he says, "I want to explain something to you. I did this. I was drunk. I was blah blah blah, and I pulled out my junk." And he goes, "Well, I really don't care." And he turns around and he pulls his pants down, and he's got his ass out there with the what did it say? I can't remember if it said Twitter or something on his ass. But he pulled his pants down so low you could see everything. And he goes, "Well, I showed my junk. What girl's gonna show their stuff?" And then all these women just started pulling out their tits everywhere. It was like, oh my God. And they have huge, Jumbotron style, TV screens up there and all these tits and junk everywhere. It was crazy.
Rock and roll.
And I didn't get the video of the girl's tits. I think I have a picture of his ass somewhere in my in my phone. I have Tommy Lee's ass. So
after the Pamela Anderson videos of those two running around and their shenanigans, pretty much everyone on the planet, I think, had seen all parts of him already. So
yeah. So yeah, it was crazy. But anyway. So that was good. Yeah, I saw some of that, Brian. Some of that, the documentary on Netflix or the movie, whatever series. It was okay. I think I missed half of it because I was doing stuff, but they have huge boobs. Yeah, all those girls in the front row were showing him their boobs. He didn't give a shit. He really didn't care.
I imagine by that time,
he's desensitized to that.
Yeah, Tommy's life. He's like, I've seen billions of boobs by now. I don't care.
Absolutely, he has. Kind of gross, but favorite city. So I have to say it is Vegas for me. It is Vegas.
Yep, I agree.
Baby.
I absolutely agree.
There's some other nice places out there for sure, but man, you just can't beat the life, the fun you have when you go to Vegas. You can't. It really is, a place where what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Totally not true. I love going to Vegas, but it is one of those places that you think about it every time you're not there. But once you're there, my limit is about 4 or 5 days. You start getting into that fourth and fifth day, you're like, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna die. Yeah,
I'm done. We've done a 5-day thing, and we're like, oh my God, I can't wait to get home. Stop spending money, and of course I do put myself on a daily limit for gambling because I do gamble and I love to gamble, and I could keep on going. So I do give myself that limit. My husband's not a gambler. He's a loser. He comes in my winning, and then he goes off and loses that. But
what's your game when you play? What do you play?
Now I like to play the tables. I like to play poker, 21, baccarat, and Gai Gao. But
that I've never played. Yeah,
it's this last time we went, they had no tables open, and the ones that were open were $25 minimums.
Yes,
I can't do that. There used to be, you could find a good $5 minimum table, That way, if you're playing 3-card poker, which is my all-time favorite, you're betting at most $15, $20 a hand, which is still a lot, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I can do that. If I just have $100 and I'm gonna go play 3 or 4 games and see if I can hit a good winner, right? But I mean, the best is when you find a dollar table, but you never find dollar tables. And if there is a dollar table, you'll never get on because people will sit there for days. They won't get up.
Yep.
So it's very rare that you find a dollar table in those type of games. But
when were you last there?
In July.
Okay.
Last July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was there last May, and it was the same thing. I was shocked that the number of tables that were just simply closed. There wasn't even a dealer there. And the ones,
August,
like you said, that are
August. It was August.
And like you said, the ones that were open were all 20 and up.
Yeah, yeah. I can't do that because that means if you're on a table like that with a $25 minimum and you ante at $25, if you do any side bets, you're up to $75. And if you play, that's $100 a hand, people. $100 a hand. To ante, play, and have 2 side bets. $100 a hand. So that's just not, you know how much I can play all day on $100. So it's just not workable. I did go to a machine and play. What did I play? Did I play Paigo or Baccarat? I played Baccarat for $11 a hand, and I went through my money just like that. It was not even fun. It wasn't even fun because that was the cheapest that I could find. I was like, I had one win and I thought, okay, I can do this. And then $100 in about 15 minutes. So I'm like, well, we're not going to be doing that again. So
yeah, that's a tough one. I've done that myself before. You get those days where, and that's the important thing to do is you set that limit. All right, this is how much I'm spending for the whole trip. This is what I'm spending like per day or per session or whatever. It's like, if I lose this is it. That's gone. We're gone.
Right.
And I have certainly done that before. Go up to, because my thing is I've dabbled a little bit with blackjack, but it usually ends up being, it's like, I hate playing with other people on the board as well. Cause it's like, you're kind of messing up my deal, dude. Get out of here. You know, why the hell did you hit on that? You took that. And it makes me mad. It's like, but my thing has always been slots, as goofy as that sounds. I have specific things that it has to have a spinner wheel. I don't do computerized.
You like the old stuff.
I like the spinning wheel. One of the things has to have like a free spin or a wild card kind of thing where it'll cover for something else kind of deal. Yeah. And I thought there was a third thing that I always looked for in a machine to play.
Progressive.
And
I always look for progressive too.
You know, multi-lines, all that stuff. I know I've found like somewhere it's like, you know, it's got like 16 different lines you can win and all that stuff. It's like 20 if you play like all line, you know, bet all. It's like $20 a spin. It's like,
oh my god, I did that one time.
I like it. I'm gonna do it. I put my $20 in, all lines. Zilch. Thank you for playing. It's like it $20 gone in 5 seconds. I might as well just thrown it in the floor.
I was at Treasure Island and I was there with my sister actually, and we were waiting for her and her husband to come meet us. And I was sitting at one of my favorite games at Treasure Island, which is the big wheel. Okay. And you're making a bet off the big wheel. And I accidentally hit play all, which was around, you know, $20 bet. And my husband, who was just coming up, it all happened at the same time. He was coming up to see, and he goes, "What did you do? That's the big bet you're betting." And I go, "What? What do you mean? I'm only betting like $4 a bet." And he's like, "No, you didn't." And the thing's going, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I did hit. So I hit for $250, and I'm like, Oh my God. But that was not my intentions. That was a complete mistake on my part. Turned out okay. I didn't win anymore after that, but I got my sister on that game too, and we're sitting there drinking, Bloody Marys and Dos Equis, or what were we drinking? I don't remember if we were drinking Dos Equis. Continue
Yep.
pull, with the other half.
Yeah, you gotta, just like Kenny Rogers say, you gotta know when to fold them and walk away. There's a certain point. Something like when I'm playing slots. One, I almost never play penny slots ever, unless I'm just like if I'm having a conversation with something and we're just screwing around. It's like, hey, here comes the waitress. Let's pretend like we're playing this so we can get a free drink kind of thing. But usually just sit there and just BSing with somebody. I might play penny slots because I'm not really paying attention to it anyways. Just hitting the button.
Yeah.
And but when I'm feeling it, I find that machine. I think because I'll watch people too. If I see somebody dumping a bunch of money in a machine and doesn't pay off for them, it's like I'm on that machine. That was prime. It's because that's one of the good things about like machines and all that stuff in Vegas is they have a full regulatory board for the whole state or all of Nevada. They have to have X amount of payouts per thing. It's not like they go in and just tweak the machine where you lose every time kind of a thing. It's like, no, it has to pay out a certain percentage over a period of time. And the last trip I was out, turns out about 2 or 3 in the morning, there's a whole team of people that come in from the state and start auditing different machines in different areas in each of the casinos. I'd never really noticed that before, but this last trip I did. They're all over it.
Man.
And they got whatever they want. They walked into the casino and everybody that works there is like, oh, anything you need, sir.
I don't know. There's nothing like hearing somebody pull a jackpot, wherever you're sitting and you hear that scream and the bells and you're like, oh,
that alarm bell goes off, somebody's super happy. I know. That's how it was for mine.
I just like to see somebody get it.
Because when I hit mine last time, it was like my big one was like the first thing is like I heard the bells going off. I was like, I thought it was like on the machine like behind mine. And then all the lights on the board changed to like this like red and yellow flashing thing across the whole border was changed, which had it doesn't do that while you're playing regularly. It's just like, it's like what the fuck's going on?
What did I do?
Then the display on the display that's up here, the little block comes up. See attendant for payout. $1,010 and whatever it was, and I got or $2,010, whatever it was. And I was like, what? And of course, I look around in the group I was with, no one was there.
Nobody.
Yeah.
That's always the case. You win,
I'm like
nobody's
waving at them from across. They're still over there. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's the case. That's always the case. But
and for me, it's always because I'll gamble the whole time I'm there, but I only win like the bigger pots on my last day there. That's at least what I've noticed all the times I've been there. It's whenever I'm there, when it's the last day, I'll, if I've got money left over, I guess maybe I'm taking bigger risks to get the bigger pot, maybe because it's my last day and is the only thing I can think of. But it's always the last day is when I get the big payout. And, the last time was big enough that it covered my entire trip, paid for everything. So it was like, yes.
Yeah, that's that's everybody's goal, of course. However, it doesn't always end up that way,
It usually doesn't. Usually I break even or maybe come out like $100 ahead from what I went into it with this is the total pot that I'm gambling with in my wallet.
Right.
Only $1,000 or whatever it is.
I usually win smaller pots, 300, 400, and I'm ecstatic with those because that means that's my gambling money for the whole time we're there. That's how I look at it. Even those smaller wins are or plus. So, and my husband's like, woohoo. And it's nice not having to go to an ATM once when you're in Vegas. That's a good trip when you don't have to go get money.
Oh yeah. Did you ever used to go back in the day when they still basically use cash all the time, or like the slots when they had the tokens and stuff like that, where you'd have that ching, 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 and you'd have like buckets full of coins and stuff like that? I kind of like the newer version where it's you just get a little slip of paper, you know.
Yeah.
You get your little voucher, you know.
Yeah.
And my little 40-cent voucher from the Golden Nugget last time I never cashed. I found that in the bottom of my wallet, sitting under the thousands that I had won earlier. It's like, 40 cents. Isn't that cute?
I have 40 cents. Yep. It's definitely more sanitary. I can remember your fingers getting black from all the
all
you
those,
know?
Yes.
And that was kind of gross. Now that we're so conscious about cleanliness, you know, that was kind of out there. But nothing like hearing the chung, 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 clinking of the money when you go to cash out, and you have to find a bucket. You had to find a bucket quick so that you could put it underneath there. So at least it was dropping inside the bucket and you didn't have to scoop out all that money. Because I remember when I first met my husband, one of the trips we took before we were even married, we went to Vegas, and I had won a whole bucket of nickels. I was playing nickel machines back then, you know, and making my money last. But I remember I had a bucket full of nickels, and he had already gone through his thing, but he took my nickels. I'll never forget. We weren't even married. He took my nickels back then. And I'm like, okay. He goes, you have more, you know, you have some in there. I'm like, okay. Take my nickels. That's how it is.
I remember this was many years ago, but I was TDY. I was trapped bouncing around, and through a bizarre set of circumstances, we ended up in Vegas for just one night. And the guys one of the people on my maintenance team knew people that lived there. So they're like, sure, we'll swing by the hotel you're staying at. We'll pick you up. We'll whoop it up in Vegas for the one night only kind of thing. And we first went to the Hard Rock Hotel, and this was back late 90s sometime. They still had the coins and the machines, the whole spiel. And all of those guys, except for me, were all about playing roulette. We're gonna hit the roulette table for a few minutes, then we'll go to this place and go this, and we'll go do these things. And okay, it's like I do not give a crap about roulette. That's the one. It's like, I ain't playing that. That's super random. No way am I gonna. It's impossible to win that, at least for me. So I started plunking around on the machine, the slot machines around there. Started off with quarters, won a big pot. Traded them all in for dollar coins, started playing the dollar slots, and I'm sitting there, and I had one of those machines like I described, because I always looked for the specific type, and had like the little free spin thing. If the free spin came up in any of the lines, it would auto spin until there was a winning line somewhere. I just kept hitting it. Bam, bam, bam. Not giant amounts, but it kept adding and adding and adding. And back in those days, there was like this trough in the bottom of the machine that was like 5 inches deep and whatever, where all the coins fell into. And I'm hit. I was on a roll, bam, bam, bam. And one of my friends finally comes up and clunks down. He's like, well, we might as well go back to the hotel. We're all broke. They lost all their money at the machine. And they're like, oh, really? He's like, hey, how are you doing? And he looks down. And I had just won again. He's like, oh, cool. And he looks down. That trough thing was even to the top with dollar coins. It was like 700 and some bucks for the dollar coins. He's like, what the hell are you doing? How did you win all of this? What have you been doing? It's like, I've been winning. You guys are losing. But I definitely got, I think I spent well over half of that at the gift shop there, because back in those days, everybody had to have your Hard Rock t-shirt, your Hard Rock hat, your Hard Rock.
We all had Hard Rock t-shirts. Everybody did, for sure.
You were somebody.
Dude,
If
I
you
even
didn't
had
have
a Hard Rock Mazatlan from Mexico. I had one of those T-shirts too.
I had a Hard Rock from Guam. I think was probably my craziest one, but yeah, that was the fashion thing, is having a Hard Rock
Hard
from
Rock.
wherever.
Have a Hard Rock. But anyway, good times. Highly recommend at least once going to Vegas and doing it. Now, we don't go to do all the drinking stuff and partying all night. Usually when we're there, it's for a reason, a concert usually, or something else that we have planned.
The reason is to drink and to party and to go.
Well, yeah, it is, but not for me. Now, for me, in Vegas is a cool trip to go gamble and to go see a show or concert. That's just the perfect venue for that. But no, I mean, I can't stay up all night anymore like I used to. So,
Oh, that's all I do.
stay up. You just stay up till the wee hours of the morning.
I couldn't tell you how many people still to this day from that one trip to Vegas with a bunch of online people that are like, God, you're still drinking? You're still awake? You don't even look drunk. What's wrong with you? You're not human.
Oh gosh. I can't even drink anymore. I just one drink and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. Anyway, we have already gotten to an hour and 11 minutes. Shall we move on? Or end
We
it
shall.
now? I don't know if
Your call.
did
Whatever you'd
Raven
like
have a show this morning? He did have a show this morning, so that's why we don't have that many people watching me today. But I don't know if he's going to keep on going. If he stops, we will get more people, or do we end it? I do have some more. My favorite place in the world, and my sister's.
Oak Creek Canyon. Wow, that's
Oak
beautiful.
Creek Canyon goes through Sedona, and it is one of the most beautiful and grounding place you could ever go to there in that area. But hands down, I'm pretty sure it's one of my sister's favorite place. My dad lives about half hour away from this place, so it's someplace that we went to often as kids. Flagstaff is just north of this place, so it's my favorite. Do you have a favorite place that whenever you're around, you tend to want to go
really?
see it?
I'm trying to think. I don't think there is. It like you go to this place, it's kind of like this is where you're like you have your Zen moment, kind of
Yes.
peace alignment.
One of those type of places. Some place that means a lot to you, either because you grew up in the area or you had good moments, a memorable moment in that area.
No, most of the places like from when I was a kid are all gone. I'll go on Google Maps sometimes and like look up, what's the old house I grew up in? What does it look like? Gone, burned down like many years ago. Oh man, we had this cool place where I went to grade school at. It was, had cool architecture. It kind of looked like a big castle. Gone, empty. It's not even like they built a new one. They just tore it down. Even with the ground, there's still nothing on the spot. Like years ago, it's like, oh my God, they're destroying my past. It's like,
you're slowly getting erased.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But no, I don't really have that. But I'm hoping to discover someplace like that by saving up for the travel van where I can, my adventure van, just go. Yeah. I'm going to go that way for a week and see where I go.
Yeah.
See where I end up.
I have a lot of little places that I've been to that I think were absolutely amazing. But a place that I can go to and get to quite often, is this place, Oak Creek Canyon. Because I've been to the Grand Tetons, and that was a pretty amazing adventure. And of course, I've been to Heaven Temple in China, which was another amazing experience.
I bet.
That I will never do again. So things like that, I have many, but this is a place close to my heart because I don't know, it's just there. It's a grounding place for me, for
Nice.
sure. How about your favorite movie? I got a chick flick.
You got a chick flick. For me, all-time favorite movie. I'm going to have to do it in threes because it's a trilogy. Is Back to the Future.
Nice.
The three Back to the Future movies. I like all of them equally. They all have their own shining moments and stuff. If I see it on TV, flipping through the channels, that's it. I'm locked in. Nothing else is going to happen till the show is over. It's probably a toss up between that one, Jaws. I'll always watch in the beginning of summer.
Yep. Yep.
Oh man, there's so many.
Always comes out during Shark Week.
Yep. Close Encounters of the Third Kind is a favorite. I've watched a million times. There's a lot, but if I had to just pick the one, it would have to be Back to the Future.
Nice. Yeah, I like them all. Even the Western one, I liked that one too.
Yeah, which had ZZ Top in it.
Oh yeah, it did. You're right.
They had the acoustical guitars that spun around.
Anyway, I just love Under the Tuscan Sun. I love where it was held at, the whole storyline. Oh, the gorgeous guys. It's a good show. But my sister says Weekend at Bernie's, and we had was it a DVD or cassette that we had to? We would play that thing all the time. Weekend at Bernie's was a go-to movie for sure. How funny. Okay, cool. What about your favorite book? Do you have a favorite book?
I have another book series. Favorite all-time book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Really?
Series. Loved that. Douglas Adams, I always thought was the funniest person on the planet. I thought it was amazingly funny.
Wow.
Which
I've never read
British
that.
humor,
now I've seen the movie.
Oh,
but
the movie's horrible.
So weird. Yeah, the movie was so weird. I don't get this. What,
The BBC did a TV version of it, which was much closer to the books, and you get a better feel of what it was like, kind of thing. I mean, it's wacky and weird for sure.
Yeah.
But I imagine hitchhiking across the galaxy probably would be pretty wacky and weird. But that's my favorite.
Oh, well, aside from 50 Shades of Grey, which was also one of my favorites books, series there. But this one here, Wild by Cheryl Strayed, is it's her memoir of her 1,100-mile solo hike along the Pacific Crest Trail. And she starts down south near the Mojave Desert, and she hikes all the way through California and Oregon and up into Washington. And it's just about her adventure of finding herself, because she had a bunch of crap happen before this, with death of her mom and divorce and addiction. A lot of things in her life were just really screwed up. She had no experience whatsoever. Put a big old backpack and what comes to be, she had new boots on, which is, you don't want to really do that when you're going to be doing a hike like that. So all her issues with her feet and going through, and actually there's a small part where she thinks she ran into Bigfoot in the middle of the book. It is not anywhere near a Bigfoot book, okay? It is not that. It's a small little paragraph and then it moves on, but it was interesting. And it's just her seeking her self-discovery type of thing, and how she deals with grief, because all these things have really compounded her. And that it's highly recommend reading this book to anybody. If you're a reader, great book. Great book. So that's
Very good.
a small book. How about a holiday? I could not choose. Christmas is probably the number one. Everybody knows I pretty decked my house out. I'm really big on Christmas, but I love Halloween too, and tend to do that up as well. I'm a big holiday person. I love holidays. How about you?
I guess for me, New Year's, of course, because that involves drinking, and 4th of July is always a big favorite of mine. Always enjoy the Independence Day.
Yeah, the barbecues and
Oh, just again,
like
eating and drinking and massive explosions. There's not how much more can you have in one day?
you like the big explosions, the big ones. Not that big.
There it is.
Yeah. My dog doesn't like it at all. At all.
Yeah, that's tough on the dogs.
Yeah, for sure. How about a favorite teacher? Did you ever have a favorite teacher?
Probably Mr. Jones in the 6th grade, oddly enough. He kind of he knew I was kind of a smart kid. He kind of left me alone. He knew he didn't have to badger me for certain things like he had to do other kids, I guess. So he kind of let me do my own thing, which I super appreciated.
That's good. Well, mine was my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Dawson, who later became Mrs. Sage. And I was 5 years old, but I loved this woman. I loved her with all my heart. And she was there for my high school graduation. She was there for my college graduation. Yeah, she kept in touch. My mom used to kind of be her teacher's assistant for many years, and so she was just somebody that was always there, and I always aspired to be like. She was a world traveler too, so that also stimulated my want to travel. She was always bringing in cool stuff from wherever she was at, China or Russia or everywhere. She went everywhere. So that was my nice woman. Okay, what about a word or phrase? What's your favorite thing to say, Enzo?
A favorite word or phrase? Is this like a verbal crutch kind of a thing?
Something, yeah. Like I'm always saying both of these are kind of bad to say, but I always say whatever. And that pisses people off. But I'm constantly saying that. I've kind of calmed down a little bit, but because it's kind of negative, a little bit negative. But I usually say whatever.
I think probably in the last year, I probably have overused paranormal potpourri for sure. Mostly, I have like standard like canned responses to certain things that I throw out a lot of times. I'd eat an old tire if you deep fried it. Let's see. What are some of the others? I don't know. I've never really thought about that before. I try and avoid the hard verbal crutches like that because it drives me crazy for people that say like whatever all the time and stuff like that. It's like, is that all you? What are you doing? Stop it.
Yeah, I'm always tend to say it is what it is, because especially these days, I know that you're not going to change people's ideas, their opinions, the way they go. All you can do is try and help inform people. But I don't dwell on it anymore. It is what it is. You're either gonna help somebody find answers for themselves or you're not. But it shouldn't have any bearing on you or how your life goes. And hopefully you do. But it is what it is.
Yeah, the last year or so, I've really kind of come to that same conclusion where, I'm 55. I've done a lot of things with my life. I've traveled a lot of different parts of the world. I've experienced a lot, which means I feel at least I can at least give a formative type piece of advice every once in a while. And if someone doesn't want to listen to that advice, cool. You keep doing your thing. I'm not going to make you listen to me. I'm not going to make
Right.
you this. If I were you, I'd probably do this. Oh, you chose not to do it and it screwed up. That's on you. It's not my fault. I'm not going to waste any more time giving you my award-winning advice. No, it's not. There's some people. Yeah, you should never try to change people. That's true.
You shouldn't. But the first thing you do when you're married is you try to change your loved one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's what happens. You have
And that's
big
true.
expectations until you move in with somebody, and then you find out how they really are, and then you want to change the way they are, and we've all been there. Well, especially if you've had a significant other who you live with, and it's not, it's work, it's work to have a relationship, and you have to learn to let them be who they are. And if you don't like some of those traits, then you need to work around that, or you need to realize that, hey, he's never gonna pick up his dirty underwear off the floor. You just got to deal with that, So at some point, it just is what it is, and it's vice versa. It goes both ways. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that he can't stand that I do. So. That's, just part of life. It's part of life. What about TV programs? You ever have a favorite TV program?
Always, well, of course, me being the nerdy type that I am, I've always been a big Star Trek fan. I guess Picard season 3 is going to be coming out this week, and I've refused to watch 1 or 2 because it's just trash. It's entertainment
You
in
won't
general.
even
The last
watch
2
the
years,
trash. But I mean, even when I don't like certain things, well, I guess I understand more, because I was a huge Star Wars person, but I didn't really like, the first
those
3
sequels.
that came out of the series were great. The
Sure.
original Star Wars, which is what, episode 4 is it
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6, right? Or
4, 5, and 6.
Those were great. Enjoyed those. And then after that, they started coming out with the other ones, and they lost. They lost.
Yeah, they lost yet the prequels. Okay. Yeah. The prequels were okay. I truly hated, like, there were certain parts, because even for the original trilogy, we get to that last one, it's like, we're spending a lot of time with these Ewoks. I'm not liking it. We're just selling toys now is what we're doing. Okay. But then the prequels, and we don't really need a Jar Jar Binks throughout the whole forking series. Really. Come on. Amazing fight scenes. Best lightsaber duel stuff in that very first episode 1 was amazing there with Darth Maul at the end. But actually, the prequels have gotten a little bit of a resurgence and a little more, maybe they weren't so bad after the Disney sequels came out, and they were such flaming hot garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Hey, Dale. Nice to see you.
And then just the last, this is just me. I'll get up off. I'll stand on my soapbox for a second here. As entertainment in general, I feel we're really getting some really crappy stories out of Hollywood in general the last several years. It's just trash.
Yeah.
It's just horrible story. I mean, because I like the original Doctor Who shows where, with the cardboard sets that wobble when they walk by, and rubber monsters and stuff like. But the stories were great. The stories were amazing. If you've got a really good story, you'll overlook some kind of half-ass special effects. Yeah. We're not even getting that nowadays. It's starting to turn, I feel. A lot of people are, Well, a lot of these big companies that are used to having a lot of money rolling in haven't been getting a lot of money rolling in because nobody else is watching their crap movies either. So
Yeah.
it
It almost feels like they ran out of stuff to talk about or to take storylines to. And I don't know, they just have lost their imagination. And
I think part of that is, and again, not to be preachy or whatever, but the writers that they have for them are mostly writing about what they know about, which is whatever's going on out the window of their Los Angeles office is what they're thinking the world really is.
yeah.
They haven't gone out and done anything with their lives. They've gone to college. They get hired as onto a writing team out of college. And that's kind of what they know. They haven't been, like Ray, like Gene Roddenberry, who did Star Trek. He was in World War II. He fought, in Korea and a bunch of other things. So he knew how to design a military type thing for like Star Trek, because basically Star Trek is it's a military setting. It's a spaceship, like a naval type ship with a rank structure on board, and everyone had their specific jobs. That the captain would take advice from the science guy or the doctor or the engineer or whatever on how to make their, which is how the military works, which makes for an engaging story. And a lot of the young writers that they hire the young folks because they're cheaper than the older experienced people that have actually gotten stuff done, which come at a higher dollar when you become popular and famous. So they end up, we're going to save money by hiring brand new writers that have basically not experienced life in the slightest, and they don't have that pool of experiences to pull from. Anyway, I'll get off of my soapbox on that because I could sit here for the next hour bitching about how awful Hollywood is right now. But
Well, no, I agree. I mean, they have to take older films and remake them. They can't leave stuff alone because they can't come up with any good ideas anymore.
And that's it. That's the primary indicator that if you're not, and I get it a little bit from like the movie studio, people. I kind of get it from a studio board kind of thing. It's like, we need something that's going to make money, and you can't just take chances. If you're making a lot of money, then you can have like that smaller film off to the side as we'll take a chance on this, which does something strange and weird. We'll throw a little bit of money at this little Star Wars project with the spaceships and the robots and the aliens.
Yeah.
Or I guess maybe kids will like it. Of course, it explodes and everyone thought it was amazing. But they're back in the 70s. Stuff like it was all gritty crime dramas and maybe the occasional comedy or whatever. But you didn't have things like Star Wars or anything like that really. Then it exploded. There was an audience for it, so they started making things similar to that. But it's only through that little It's only through that little bit of experimentation off to the side that you see what people really, really like. If there's an audience for it, and a lot of times those things don't work out for the big companies. So I understand a little bit of you don't want to take a lot of risks, but their budgets have gotten so strict and so down to the penny that it's like, this has to be a $1 billion blockbuster. And they don't have the people to make it. They just don't.
Yeah, it is. It's all about the money. I understand that. And sometimes they just ruin a good thing, though. I'm telling you.
I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah,
but they're starting to realize that some of the messaging that has been ham-fistedly shoved into a lot of stuff here the last several years, no one cares. Everyone's tired of it. You can sneak in political messaging into the story. I mean, classic Star Trek TV show. It wasn't until I was much older, and looking back at some of the shows, like, wow, this episode is entirely a parable for the Vietnam War. I never really put it together, as a kid watching it, but it's like, oh, I see what they're doing here. With creative writing, you can sneak that stuff in. You can sneak your messaging in and find it acceptable, and actually have a equal debate instead of I'm right, you're wrong. You need to do better stuff. Just pointing literally with those lines as things characters say. It's like, no, nobody wants to get preached to. Nobody wants to hear this. This is supposed to be an escape that I can escape from my regular day of life. If I want to see this, I'll just turn on any news show and have the same thing.
For sure. But
sorry, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, I mean, that's all part of it. I mean, everything has kind of gone a little bit downhill. We all have our favorites. I mean, now I was a big fan of the Waltons, probably because my mom was a big fan of the Waltons and she always had it on whenever it came on. And some people I know are like, what are you watching? Why do you watch that? Mostly for that feeling that I don't have to worry about what's going on. It's not from the news. It's not something today. It's how people used to live, and their problems seem like such small problems now, to me.
Right.
And whatever happens at the beginning of the show is resolved by the end of the show. And I like that. I really like that. And I can put that on anytime at night and just leave it on so that I can fall asleep to the Waltons. I'm sure my husband gets crazy with the beginning soundtrack to the Waltons. But I love the Waltons. They're my all-time favorite. And I did go to Schuyler, Virginia, to go to the original site to see where the whole, because it's based off of oh shoot, now what's his name? I can't remember the original name, the guy's original name. It was real, he wrote all his stories based off of how he grew up there in Virginia. So all the places that they talk about in the show are real. Okay, they have there is really Walton's Mountain was actually Schuyler, and there really was a rockfish, and really is, Charlottesville is right there, and it was all real. There really is a Drusillus pond in the back. I got to stay in. They built a B&B. A lady did John and Olivia's bread and breakfast based off of the house. So I actually got to stay in the girls' room. It was the neatest experience I've had. You get to have breakfast on their breakfast table in the morning, and it was a really neat experience. Got to go into the original house, which is just down the street. Hammer? I want to say Hammer now. Anyway, you get to go to his real house and see the original place that everything happened, and then the studio version. And they have the old truck sitting out there, and it was really cool. We stayed. Me and my aunt stayed overnight, and I'd do it again. It was just awesome, nice. Godsee's store is there. It's the Mercantile. It's not. It's kind of gotten revamped, for now times, but and doesn't look anything like the one on the show. But it is there. The still working little store. And then across the street they have a museum with a bunch of this stuff from this show. So it was a nice little day that we took, because I was actually there for the Virginia Bigfoot conference, and we took one day, which took us about 40 minutes out to go to this to the Waltons Mountain. I got to go, and it was
very cool.
Super hot and humid. I thought we were gonna die. So that is my favorite. And Survivor. I put Survivor on there because that's something I love to watch on TV. I like to watch all the Survivor shows and the competitions and stuff like that. I always have liked that kind of stuff. So that's one of my favorite. And that's it. We've come to the end. Let me take this all off. So,
outstanding.
I hope you all have your favorites and make sure that you keep those sacred, because sometimes, you know, life goes really fast and you have to have memories. Keep good memories. It's always better that way, don't you think?
I totally agree.
Don't you think?
So, any big Valentine's Day festivity, dinner, or anything like that for today?
But I did wake up to my nice little card.
Aww.
It's so pretty. For my wife on Valentine's Day. You have the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met. You're a beautiful person inside and out. It's so easy to love you, and nobody knows that better than me. Happy Valentine's Day with love. And I won't read the private bit, but look, he got me an Atari game. It's the old Atari 50 for PS5.
Oh,
It has
wow.
all the old games on there. Like, it's the anniversary edition where, you know, all the blippy ones.
I remember playing, there was one called Adventure back then that was.
Yep, it's here. It's on here.
I loved that one. I played the crap out of that one.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. Air World and all those classics. And of course, he knows I'm not eating sweets, but he still got me a box of cookies.
Aww.
And they're those, what's the brand? It's Mrs. Fields.
Oh, yes.
It's a whole box of like
Look at that.
different kind of cookies in there. I'm like, really? Now I just have to eat them.
Well, you don't want to be rude. I mean, it's Valentine's.
I don't want to be rude. They're Valentine's. So yeah, that's fun.
I don't know if it's still a trend, but for a while there, like the classic, you know, heart-shaped box with little chocolates in it.
Right.
There was a trend for a while there. Instead of having chocolates in there, it was like various like mixed nuts and stuff like that in there instead of the chocolates. I always
Here in
liked
El
those.
Paso, they do one of those big boxes full of tacos.
Oh,
Full of carne asada tacos. You can order
oh
one.
my God.
Yeah, and they open the box and there they are. Oh, tacos.
Now I'm starving. I got to go get something to eat.
I go, you can always get me a taco box.
That's a great idea. I like it.
Yeah, it is. But that's it. You know, I took the girls to eat yesterday, but I'll probably pick them up a little something today. Trying to downsize this holiday with them just a little bit, you know, just because I used to do big old gifts for them for Valentine's Day and for Easter. I would make them baskets for each thing because I spoil my girls, and that's what I did. But I'm trying to downsize that just a little bit. They're older, you know, and but they will have a little surprise, you know, later on in the afternoon. So
very nice.
But that's about it. And you?
Oh no, for me this holiday is really February 15th when all of these things go 50% off at the store the next day. That's the holiday I observe for this one.
The sales, woo, the candy. I don't know if alcohol goes on sale.
Sometimes.
No,
I'm not a big sweets guy. I don't really eat a lot of candy at all. So for me, this holiday is kind of, but that's why I always enjoyed like the things that had like nuts or something like that. I like,
right.
having like a thing of mixed nuts or something like that.
Thank you
Candied
for joining me
pecans.
today.
Thank you
We
for
talked
having me.
about a lot of little goodies today. I hope everybody enjoyed that. Hey, if you like my content, please hit that like button before you leave. Doesn't cost you a thing. Please subscribe. Let people know I'm out here. I need to do a little bit of promoting the show a little bit. We might move this channel this time back again. I need to talk to you about that. So don't go anywhere.
Wow.
Well, just because I don't want to go over Raven's post because we have the same followers, so I might have to rethink that. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for being here and supporting me. Love you all, and have a great and happy Valentine's Day. See you on Friday. Bye-bye.